As he watches the situation in L.A. this morning, the president is speaking exclusively with NBC News about an escalating feud with Elon Musk that exploded into public view this week. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell is traveling with the president near his estate in New Jersey. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Willie. The drama around the president and Elon Musk is about more than a clash of big egos and powerful men. The president's agenda in his budget bill that would affect the lives of millions of Americans has been attacked by Musk, while the president insists it must pass. All of this comes as the president was out until almost 2 in the morning in a rowdy arena.
Ringside in New Jersey late Saturday night.
The President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
President Trump, who is often drawn to a fight, has been both spectator and participant this week. His relationship with billionaire benefactor Elon Musk now appears down for the count. I have no intention of speaking to him, President Trump told Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press. He also warned Musk not to retaliate politically by funding Democrats. The president said he'll have to pay very serious consequences if he does that. After their Thursday brawl on social media, Musk has since removed a post where he claimed the president had not released the Jeffrey Epstein files because he was named in them. The late Epstein had been charged with sex trafficking. The president responded to Welker, "It's old news. I was not friendly with Epstein for probably 18 years before he died. I was not at all friendly with him." The Trump-Musk relationship ruptured over disagreement about the deficit impact in the president's massive budget bill. Mr. Trump suggested that Musk's opposition actually helps him. The president said Elon brought out the strengths of the bill because people that weren't as focused started focusing on it. The legislation is working through the Senate and facing concerns about cuts to Medicaid and adding to the debt. But Mr. Trump said he is very confident the bill will pass, adding, "The Republican Party has never been united like this before."
And in talking with Kristen about passing the bill, the president made a very personal assessment of Musk's well-being, describing him as so depressed and so heartbroken, while he talked about himself as being so confident. Musk's representatives have not responded to our request for comment. Willie?
Kelly O'Donnell with the president in New Jersey. Kelly, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.